All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome to May's window shopping episode. So if you don't know, or you are new to the channel, I've never seen this before, I have a series that we do once a month. It's called Window Shopping, and it's where we look at the central market and show you guys the different prices of all the mostly notable items. And I'll give you my thoughts and opinions. We look at the trends, whether it's going up or down, and some items are better off being made yourself, and some are just being, or better to just buy it. So every month we like looking at trends and seeing like what items are good right now and what you should be buying and looking into, because as you guys know, this is a very economy driven game and event based. So like some things you want to prepare for early on for like the new region items, or you know, if do we have an event going on and stuff. And also the big ticket items everyone is always looking at, like black star weapons, accessories, and armors. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. If you want to watch the April video and see what we had last month, you could find that somewhere on YouTube, or just find it in the playlist. Just search up like Jonlaw window shopping and then the month you're looking for. But anyway, let's start it off with the weapons, because I guess most of us are into black stars at this point. And just as a quick brief overview, I'll probably talk about this a lot in the beginning. When it comes to like Zarka versus Offin versus Blackstar versus the God Eye, I don't think Zarkas are bad to start. I think most people should actually get that, because in overall, Zarkas are pretty good over Offins because they give a lot of accuracy. And if you plan on doing any sort of PvPing, accuracy is very important. So that's just a baseline, and also they're pretty cheap, so this is one thing we always like looking at. So if you're doing your Jatina pen, armor, and weapon things for the first time, for weapons, the minimum you'll probably be spending is around like 6 billion. So is it worth doing a pen Zarka first? It depends on the price on your server. If you can get it for under 6 billion, then no. But if it's over, then it might be worth it. But that's what we're here to look at. So if you had to pick between Zarka and Offin, I would probably choose Zarka for like 99% of classes. And then we get to Blackstar versus God Eye. God Eye is one a little bit tricky, because you can enhance this yourself, right? But then the tricky part comes in on should you go for Tri and Tet. So I believe up until Duo, you can't downgrade it. Like if you fail, nothing happens. And then after you start pushing it from there, it downgrades like normal. So is it worth trying to go for Tri? It depends on how much you like spend on it. Just know that if you try to sell it back, like if you get a Pen Black Star or something, selling it back, it's not difficult, but you just know that you're losing money on taxes, and it depends on also what class you are. So if you can get Tri, I would stop there, and then after that either save or try pushing like your own Black Star up to Pen. But this is like a temporary placeholder up until you get it. And then Black Star is, well, like once you get it to Pen, Black Star and God Eye are the exact same thing. One is red, one is purple. The difference is when you're doing pen attempts, God Eye is cheaper but has a lower enhance rate. So anyway, let's look at the prices. Usually when it comes to Black Star, the max price is very high, but if you are patient enough, you could probably get it for like minimum to like mid whatever price. So generally, it's not a bad idea if like you put it on a min order. Chances are someone is going to fill that order within like a day or two, so just keep that in mind. So as of last month, when we did this, April, it roughly stayed the same. So yeah, nothing really changed for that. Just kind of wanted to look at the God Eye for a second. It's a try. This one's a little bit of a different shift. It's a decline from, well, actually 240. It's kind of the same, to be honest. But once again, when it comes to these items and people use these as temporaries, you are probably going to lose money on it, as I mentioned. So if you're looking to buy one, you could put like an order on minimum, and then chances are it'll sell. I'm just throwing that out there. All right, let's look at awakening weapons. And also, like, I know I'm only looking at one of them because they're all kind of the same in like price gap rise. So the same pattern still stands here. You go from Dandy to Blackstar and Godeye. You enhance it and use it the same way that I talked about before. So let's see the price on a pen Dandelion. It's roughly the same price, at least on NA, as the Zarka. So when I talked about making the first one, I actually do have a very in-depth guide on how to do the Jatina trade-in thingy for your first pen for guaranteed. So I've always talked about, is it better to get the awakening weapon or the main hand weapon first? And ultimately it comes down to the price of like which one costs more, and then like which one can you get for cheaper. But if they were both the same price overall, I think I would choose the main hand weapon, because having the extra accuracy is worth a lot more to me than having like another like 1 or 2 brackets of AP, in my opinion. Well, it also depends on what you're doing. So like if you're strictly PvE, then maybe the Dandy is better, but if you're PvPing at all, might want to look into that Zarka. But anyway, price points. Oh my god, that fell off. This is the scary part, like as we were talking about, of why enhancing Godeye stuff is kind of sketch. Just go into enhancing these knowing that you're probably going to lose silver. So if you don't care and you just want to make small gains without the relevant factor of how much you're spending, by all means. But in my opinion, if you can for somehow get a pen Godeye just straight up buying it, it is actually just cheaper. Because like if you look at the price, it's just straight up 20 bill more for the Blackstar. And some people don't know this, but at pen level, you can exchange a Blackstar for a Godeye and the other way around. So if you just like the purple one or you like the red one, at pen, you can just exchange them back and forth. But just get the one that's cheaper, and same thing stands on weapons as well. So Blackstar awakening weapons have always been a contested thing, because usually people enhance these for profit, and that's why the prices go up and down. Last time we did this, it was around like 15 bill. And then now, I guess it's like, it's hard to look at this and be like, what is the actual trend when you see all these listed? But it's roughly the same thing as last time, because with the amount of orders, this kind of, it doesn't actually really mean anything to me. So for the most part, if you can sell a pen Blackstar, or not a pen, a Tet Blackstar for 15 billion, you're doing good. If you have to sell it for like hard minimum 14.6, that's probably also fine. Generally, when it comes to making Tet Blackstars yourself, I've made like at least, I don't know, 10 of them, maybe more. And then I've also done pen clicks on them. You guys have seen those videos. But overall, I would say that depending on the stack you use, you could flip like Tet Blackstars for profit. But I think if you were to make it yourself, I would probably start at like a 130 stack and then try to push that stack up to 200. And then once you're at 200, I know it may be tempting to keep clicking, but just start over. Because, yeah, it's kind of weird. So trust me when I say 200 stacks is valuable and you'll need it eventually. But until then, yeah, I think even at 14.6, it's pretty profitable. So I would say that is on average about the same as last month. All right, so next let's look at sub weapons. Now this one's a little bit tricky because there's a lot of options, as you guys may imagine. Like for example, we have Black Star, then we have Nuver, then we have the green one. So here's the thing. If you're trying to enhance or profit the sub weapons, that ain't it. But if you are strictly PvE, I would use your 50 contribution points and get a Nesser offhand, because that's like basically the equivalent of a green one, a green weapon. And the reason why you would want a green weapon is because it's not the item itself, and it's the ability to have special attack extra damage by 10%. And if you look at the scaling in this game, and there's like calculators if you use Garmoth and stuff, that the green one's Nesser, and like for example for me, Dark Knight, the Oros is significantly better than a Black Star. So people look at it as in like, oh, Pen Black Star has 67 extra monster AP. And then you look at this Pen Oros, and then you can buy that for like 3 billion, whereas the Pen Black Star is like 135 billion or something. And the green weapon would outperform the Black Star. So that also requires you to look into your gear and being like, here, do I meet the AP caps at this area and everything? I have a video. I know this is probably very confusing, like looking at AP caps and grind spots. But if you want to watch a video, I do have that. It's on the channel somewhere, and just like understanding everything. But anyway, so yeah, there's a lot of options in terms of sub weapons, but let's look into ornamental knots. So Kudum, I think it's a good entry level one. It's also like, it's not bad, but if you're trying to min max, there are other options. Get the Oros, like, just it's 3.8 bill, whereas a Pen Black Star is what, 100 and almost 40 billion. Kind of wild how that works, isn't it? And then Nuver is your PvP offhand. Sayer is I have a Pen Sayer, but I don't really use it because I always thought, oh, okay, accuracy is pretty good, DP, so you don't die. Turns out it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not bad, but like there are so many better options. So your ultimate options are Nuver, Kudum, Black Star, and Oros, especially if you're a Dark Knight. But generally, if you are strictly PvE, just get the Nesser. And how you get that is doing the Valencia 1 questline, and then you spend 50 contribution points, and then you get it. It's a rentable thing. You could get it and return it whenever you want. I just chose the Oros way because I didn't have 50 CP freed up, and I was just like, oh, I can go enhance it myself easy, and then we did. So yeah, when it comes to Kudum versus Black Star, Kudum is slightly cheaper, I think. Overall it's like 10 billion, maybe a little bit less, but then capricing it up to 20 is overall like maybe 20 billion cheaper than just straight up buying the Black Star. However, at least on NA right now, if we look at Capra stones, there's like almost 60,000 orders, and I know that may be a lot, but Capra sells so frequently to the point where, like, even if you put an order on for like 100 or something, it'll probably fill throughout the day. However, it's not like you can just buy tens of thousands of them all in one go. Like, you'll probably get a few hundred a day, but that's about it with this order. You can still get them, but it's just not as many. So that's why I think Pen Black Stars are attractive. And plus, like, the reason why I have it is because I just like having the triple red Black Stars. There's something aesthetic about having them. But when in reality, when I'm grinding, I use my Oros more than anything. But yeah. Also, it depends. Like, if I'm trying a new area, I kind of want the extra DP just to, not get completely clapped, and then, we're good. So anyway, let's see. What are we looking at? Pen Black Star. As of last month, it was roughly around a 120 bracket. Now it's kind of the same. Like, if you put it at minimum, it's like the same as last month. And I would recommend to all of you, if you're thinking about getting a Pen Black Star, just know you're probably getting it for aesthetics, and Nesser for PvE is a lot better, and it's not 137 billion. So that's good. That's something to think about. And if you're trying to enhance or profit, you just make the Awakening weapon depend. Like, the enhance rates are the exact same, so you're probably gonna make more profit. So like that one is 137. Let's look at Awakening pens. Let's see. Yeah, 152. So just straight up across the bat, there's like orders already, and you just make more. So instead of enhancing an offhand, enhance an Awakening weapon. Okay, let's look at armors, because this is a interesting topic that we talk about, because as we all know, the new gloves are coming in soon for all the other regions that aren't Korea. Korea already has it now. And so what all of us have been doing is just preparing for when that releases. If you are a new player, you're probably wondering, okay, so I have boss gear. What do I go for first? In my opinion, and I always say this, get the thing that is the cheapest. It gives you the most stats for the cheapest amount of money first, and then go from there. However, items we'll talk about is I would go for the Red Nose armor, because that was the easiest thing to get to your Fallen God, and followed by Labreska, which is the Griffin and Gaiath, but we'll talk about that in a second. So let's talk about helmets right now. Gaiath versus Griffin. I always thought that Griffin was a meme because resistances sometimes feel like a meme in this game. But if it comes down to which one do you want, overall, the all resistance 5% is a lot better, because depending on where you're at, if you do any PvP, if you get CC'd, chances are you're going to die first. So that 5% to be able to resist it, that's good. Maybe you win. So back in the day, all we had was the Gaiath helm. Now we have the Griffin option. Just get the Griffin helmet, and then Capra set your ultimate goal is Labreska, and then enhance it from there. So Labreska and Fallen God are two of the items where I think that if you are going for Tet, which is the whaling, I think you can make it cheaper than buying it. So here's how I do it. So let's say you have a base Labreska, whether you bought it or you made it yourself. If you're going from base to Pry, you start at an 80 stack. And then from Pry to Duo, you start at like, I don't know, 110, 120. And so you add like 30 to 40 more on top of each stack for each tier. But once you get to like Try to Tet, that's when you just kind of use the highest stack you can. So if we look at the price tag on it, the Labreska is almost 200 billion. That's more than a Pen Black Star. So don't be afraid to use the highest stack you have, because like I made these myself. Both of them, they have my name on it. They're both Tet, but these are also very expensive items. And I think just realistically, if you have over a 200 stack, or the current event that we have going on right now, you know, the what is it, Origin of Dark Hunger, where you just make like 245 stacks or 230 plus the like Valks and everything. I literally have at least 5 200 stacks just sitting there, and I literally don't know what to do with them. And so I'm just saving it for the new region that's coming out, or new region, but like the new gloves. I'll use these to enhance it. So yeah, that's kind of one of those things where usually I would say for most items, just buy it off the market. You don't have to deal with any RNG, and overall it's probably cheaper in the long run. But going for a Tet, Fallen God, and Labreska is one of those things I truly think you can make cheaper on average, assuming you are using an over a 200 stack. And so up until Try, like from base to Try, I think it's pretty average on like the spell stacks you use and the materials. Like if you were to spend 80 billion to try to get a Try Labreska, I think that's about average. So if we calculate the cost of it, So a base one, that's 40 billion. That's just half your value in one item. And then if we calculate the stacks, you'd be using like a 120, and then like a 150. So that's probably another 10 billion overall. And then I guess the number of attempts you use and then everything, it roughly on average comes out to the same price. But then from TET or try to TET, that jump in price from like 80 billion to 200 almost, that's where I think that it's a little too high to the point where I would make it myself. And then that's just my opinion on it. So yeah, that's about it. Your ultimate goal is getting a Libresca for your helmet, and whether you choose this one or the other one, Gaiath or Griffin, it doesn't really matter. I would personally choose Griffin. Next we have armors. Like the same thing applies as before, except this time is a little bit different. Red Nose versus Dim Tree. Red Nose requires a little bit less Capris than Dim Tree does to get to Capris 10 and convert to Fallen God. Why? I don't know, but like back in the day, if you were to watch a video of mine from, I don't know, 5 years ago, everyone always chose Dim Tree armor because it gave an extra pool of 200 HP, whereas the Red Nose gave HP recovery. And in this game, HP recovery is a hot meme, but the HP pool is nice. However, later on we figured out that it requires less Capris to get to Red Nose Capris 10, and converting it into the Fallen God is your ultimate goal. So this one is a little bit tricky because Fallen God is the first one that came out. Obviously, it's a little bit cheaper. So when it comes to try and TET, obviously, I do think the price to make it yourself is still the same. I have the same opinion like the helmet is. But if you were to buy one, I would probably buy one at like duo level at 40 billion and then just start cron slamming it all the way to TET yourself. Because from Pride to duo is not that much more. You would probably be spending the equivalent on fail stacks and everything. So like, I think I would just buy it at duo, slam it to try, and then slam it to TET. Or you could just buy it at TET or try, but I wouldn't buy it at TET. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that whoever has 1.7 trill on an obliterating, I think that's Biohack or Salt, one of those two people. And if anyone ever sells an obliterating, you just got mega scammed. But anyway, I think the only people clicking this are people who are just trying to use a Jay's hammer and get lucky. But I do know a few people, like unironically, who have like 400 plus stacks and unironically going for it. So best of luck to those people. That's more expensive than you may imagine. So when it comes to armors, get the Red Nose, turn it into a Fallen God, and I have the same opinions on that. When it comes to gloves and shoes, it's two different things because right now we don't have the glove that like Fallen God and Libresca. But we do have Bags and Libers. Bags is for the DR people, and the Libers is for the evasion. So what does that mean? If you are a build and you are using Uragon shoes, then you're probably using Bags gloves as well. If you're using Libers gloves, you're probably using a Muskin. Like, I know this isn't like a one-to-one comparison, but this is my Swerk that I use for random season stuff. So like, this is what I would be using if I was fresh out of seasons and got all my gear to TET. I would have a Liber, a Muskin, and a Red Nose if I wanted to go evasion. But if I were to go DR, I would go Bags, Urgons, and then obviously Red Nose as well. So yeah, that's the thing. So if it's one of those tricky things where evasion, yes, is better than DR, but you need a lot more gear and you need a lot of Capris in your gear to make it worth using. Plus you have to be playing a class that you get the extra passives and stuff. So there's a lot of extra knowledge that newer players don't have. So if you're just watching a random video or you're watching some streamer and they have evasion gear and you're probably like, oh, I should just copy it because they're using it. Just make sure to look at what class they're playing and what their gear is before you actually copying them. Some classes actually are favored in non-evasion and stuff. So happy to answer the questions for you. Just tell me what class you play and I'll tell you which path to go down in terms of gear. So it's kind of tricky. So as we know, we talked about this just like literally a minute ago. Urgons is the DR option, Muskins is evasion. Let's see the prices on this. So a Pen Muskin is like 12 billion, right? Pen Urgons is like 13 billion. So yeah, I know people might be wondering, oh, I should just go Muskins because it's cheaper. And trust me when I say, if you have any interest in PvE at all, or no, PvP at all, Urgons is generally like, you'll feel tankier in it. Also, if you grind certain spots, or especially the higher end spots, I have tested both evasion and DR before, and the same class, multiple classes, different gear at full pen level. And honestly, I feel a lot safer at higher end spots with DR than evasion, because if you get hit, you're getting chunked, but it's one of those just don't get hit memes kind of thing. So if you don't know where you're at, generally just choose DR until you have your gear sorted out, then you could swap to evasion. But overall, after that, it comes to accessories, and when it comes to beginner stuff, it's just like, get a crescent ring. You can get one from Jatina as well. Do the dailies, get one for free. Well, not free, but like do your guaranteed pen one. You save 60 billion. That's a lot of silver, actually. And then when you're planning on upgrading, you're probably going to choose between Eye of the Ruins or Tungrad. Ask yourself, what class do you play? And do you think you need the HP more than the 1 AP? I personally chose the AP because I like bigger number, and then it allows me to do more options when it comes to building AP brackets. But trust me when I say I thought about this long and hard, and also the prices were different back in the day. So like 75 bill for an Eye of the Ruins versus like almost 120 for a Tungrad. That could be the huge price difference. Do I think 1 AP is worth 50 billion? Depends where you're at in the game. So, but generally no. I think you can get 1 AP in a lot of different ways, unless these are your only other options available. So yeah, up to you. As a starter, just get the crescent, and then after that you think about what you want to do afterwards. In terms of necklaces, your ultimate goal is probably a Pen Deboreka. Unless they do something about the Ash Forest drop rates, that ain't happening. You have to get very lucky, which one thing I'm very scared of is eventually I'm probably just gonna buy a Tet and then hopefully Cron Slam it, and hopefully it goes to Pen, because I hate grinding Ash Forest. If any of you have seen my Ash Forest videos or me enhancing Deberekas, it was not pretty. And so God, I just want to get it done. I don't want to be there ever again. And yeah, it's not great. So otherwise, Lunar is a accuracy option, or an accuracy option. So you may be seeing people with like, oh, you have a Lunar necklace at Pen, and why is it 150 or 160 billion? And the answer is, the people who have this are more PvPers. You are trading 4 AP, but you're doubling your accuracy, and I do think that's very valuable. So for most of us, like myself, I have a Pen Ogre. You may be wondering, which is better, Pen Ogre or an Ogre or Latent? They are exactly the same thing. Just get the one that's cheaper, and it doesn't matter. It's not like your character can even see it on them. And then there's Tungrad, which is slightly better, but I don't really think the Black Spirit Rage is worth it for most players. The only time you see people using full Black Spirit Rage builds are people who do 100-man sieges, and those people are already very geared. So chances are you don't need it. Just get an Ogre or Latent, whichever one is cheaper, and then upgrade to a Deboreka or a Lunar later on whenever you get it sorted. Let's talk about belts next, actually, because this is easier. So kind of like necklaces, the Turo belt is the accuracy option. It is very expensive, actually, and I think now is probably like one of the worst times to be buying it, like at an all-time high. But I don't think it's bad. Otherwise, your other options are Vasti Belt, Voltara, Tungrad, and Deboreka. Deboreka being your best in slot option for AP accuracy, but for other people, Vasti and Voltara are generally the ways to go. I personally have a Voltara because I like the extra HP it gave without the 1 AP. I didn't think that spending 95 billion for 1 AP was worth it compared to spending like 70 for 125 HP. So as I said before, do I think 1 AP is worth like 30 billion to 50? Generally no, but it also depends where you're at in the game. So yep, pretty standard. Just get the cheapest one. And then when it comes to earrings, this is a very difficult one because earrings are the last pieces generally most people will upgrade because you have a lot of options. Distos are your glass cannon AP builds where it just gives you big AP at the cost of some DP. And I always advise people to be careful when you're going for distos because you do lose DP, making you squishier, but more of a glass cannon. So when people are getting distortion earrings very early on, just be careful with your DP. I would say the time to get them is when you're full pen boss armor and you think you can survive more spots. So like roughly around maybe like 350-ish DP, that's when you start looking into Tets. And then even then, just like just know you're losing a lot of DP and you're going down in brackets. So it is good. Just make sure you don't die. And then Dawn is the accuracy option here. I was thinking about getting these for like 190 billion. I don't know about that one anymore, to be honest, but yeah, these are good accuracy options and you're trading AP for it. Baja's Dawns are the equivalent of Black Distortions. You just get these from the dungeons, the Ataraxians. Same thing. Once again, cheaper option. Narc Earring you can get from the Jatina, a guaranteed one, which is what I chose myself. So I think it's a good option. Tungrad earrings are not something I would recommend anymore. They used to be good 4 years ago. It's not anymore. Your options are really Narc Earring, Dawn, or Disto. I think for most people, when in doubt, just like Narcs are cheaper, so get that one. It'll allow you to grind certain spots like better with more DP, and then once your DP is a little bit higher, I would recommend start swapping into Distos. Just keep in mind, these are very expensive, so it's one of those things that you just have to know when you feel like you need it. That's when you upgrade. That's most of the stuff I wanted to talk about, but another thing I kind of wanted to touch on was alchemy stones. And as we all know, the Vell's Heart is very difficult to get. Even though they raised the price, like you can still get it, but Vell only spawns like once, maybe twice a week. And that means you could be waiting for quite a while to get it. I truly do think they should raise the cap of this price even further. And so I think at a price of a hard cap of maybe like 30 billion for 3 AP, that is when you'll start seeing more of them just on the market, maybe listed. And then another thing that we've always, like a very hot topic, is the Garmoth Heart. There is 1,000 orders. So I've talked to a lot of people. I've heard a lot of complaints as well, being that obviously 10 billion at the point where you need it is very low. This is something that I think they should, one, increase the price of the Garmoth Heart to at least the equivalent of a Vell's Heart. And even then, I think they should raise it. So once again, if you raise the price to like 20, 30 billion, you might start seeing some sitting on the market over time, and that could fix the problem. However, here is an overall solution that I think would be better for people in general. So you know how Garmoth spawns maybe like twice a week, right? You should, well, obviously, aside from increasing the price of it and or increasing the drop rate from the current one, you know how in guilds you could do bosses, right? I think they should add one for Garmoth, because not only can people, sometimes they just can't make it to the official Garmoth spawns, and so if you can't make it, you're really just relying on market RNG. You could do the quest for the guaranteed one, but that one just takes so long, to the point where I think they should just have one for your guild. And that way, at least people can organize it with their guild and run a Garmoth thing with more drop rate. That would literally fix the problem. And it would, like, maybe you'll get lucky and you don't have to spend max price on it. So I think that's just the best solution would be to have a guild Garmoth and maybe a guild Vell. So obviously raising the price would fix the problem and having a higher drop rate, but at the same time, 30 billion to a new player is a lot. And I mean, like, to me, I can get like 30 billion in a week. It's no big deal, but like to a newer player, that's probably a few months of work. So yeah, this is a long video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching, by the way. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I would love to see you guys come back. My videos are mostly like guide videos, and for people who are either new or returning to the game, or just people who want to improve in Black Desert in general. So with that said, hopefully you guys can find something. There's more stuff in the description to playlists of what we do in 2023, and along with grind videos. So if you're interested in learning about anything, check those out as well. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a fantastic day.